they considered the action of Lord Balaram to be improper, the Lord was immediately able to compensate with greater profits. Not wanting to detract from the mission of the Lord in killing Ramachandra Singh, all of them prayed, "Our dear Lord, the uncommon use of your kusa weapon to kill Ramachandra Singh may remain as it is. Because of your desire to kill him, he should not be brought to life again. At the same time, your Lordship may remember that we sages and Brahmanas voluntarily gave him long life. Therefore, such a benediction should not be nullified. Therefore, the request of all the learned Brahmanas in this assembly was ambiguous because they wanted to keep intact the benediction given by them that Ramachandra Singh would continue to live until the end of the great sacrifice. But at the same time, they did not want to nullify Balaram's killing him. See, isn't this quite a lot different than what you were quoting? Lord Balaram then implored all the sages and Brahmanas that aside from the benediction offered to the son of Ramachandra, they should ask from him any other benediction, and he would be prepared to fulfill it immediately. The Lord thus placed himself in the position of an ordinary Kshatriya and informed the sages that he did not know in what way he could atone for his killing of Ramachandra, or however they would suggest, he would be glad to accept. That we're just at the end here. The Brahmanas could understand the purpose of the Lord, and thus they suggested that he atone for his actions in a manner which would be beneficial to them. They said, "Our dear Lord, there is a demon of the name Balbala. He is the son of Ilvala, but he is a very powerful demon, and he visits the sacred place of sacrifice every fortnight on the full moon and moonless days, and creates a great disturbance to discharge of our duties to the sacrifice, in the sacrifice. O descendant of the Dasarha family, we all request that you kill this demon. We think that if you kindly kill him, that you will be your atonement on my behalf. The demon occasionally comes here and profusely throws upon us contaminated, impure things like pus, blood, stool, urine, and wine, and he pollutes the sacred place by showering such filth upon us. After killing Balbala, you may continue touring all the sacred places of pilgrimage for 12 months, and that way you will be completely freed from all contamination. That is our prescription." So that's the end in Krishna Folk, chapter 77.
Jai. So we can see here that he was taking a position of a guru without being properly qualified. Well, without being perfect. That's
You're saying Ramachandra was?
yeah. He was instructing all the people who were more senior to him in birth and knowledge.
It's noted in the purport that he should have stood up. If they stood up, he certainly should have stood up because they were largely senior to him.
Yeah.
And the other thing that he should have done is seeing Lord Balaram, he should have understood this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It doesn't matter that I'm sitting on the seat of Vyas. Balaram is superior to Vyasadeva. And the Vyasa son is named after Vyasadeva. It's in his honor. Whoever sits on the Vyasa son must speak pure Shastra only. And yet, the trick was that Ramachandran's mother was a Brahmin, but his father was a Kshatriya, which is an unusual combination, because generally the Brahmins marry down, and the Kshatriyas don't marry up. You see? So, because his father was a Kshatriya, he was not versed in the subtleties of Brahminical culture, which would have led him to immediately stand up in the presence of Holiday.
Yeah, yes.
Not even considering that Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself.
Right.
So you can see that's the whole can of worms.
Yeah, what to speak of these unnecessary gurus, taking the position
Oh
of,
yeah, exactly. They
that's what I was
are
gonna,
accepting worship when they should be worshiping.
yeah, exactly. These, exactly.
They should not accept
Right,
worship. Oh, no, they can accept obeisances just like we can offer obeisances to someone who walks in the door of a temple and shaves his head.
right.
And I could be there for 20 years and I will offer my obeisances and refer to him as Prabhu or Master. This is perfectly allowed and actually required.
Yes, yes.
But for a person to sit on the Vyasa and accept obeisances from others and not return obeisances is,
Preposterous.
yeah, well, it's like Rama Harshan. He's there, he's out of ignorance. I would say the ISKCON gurus are operating almost entirely out of ignorance. And that's not to let them off the hook. But I would say anybody who's a Kanishta Adhikari and poses as a guru does not do it out of knowledge. He must do it out of ignorance. Somehow he has misunderstood the whole thing.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because they've been. How can you say? How can they even realize? How can they even know? Like, how can they even come to that conclusion that I'm like this person that others should worship? And it's just mind-boggling to me.
Well,
It's
they
like,
haven't read what we've been reading because we say that Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru must be on the same transcendental platform. There's no
right.
mention, and Prabhupada warns in the Nectar of Instruction. I think what they've done is they find quotes that they allow them to bend that instruction, and therefore they think that they have it defeated. I don't think I doubt that they believe that Srila Prabhupada changed the Shastra, but I do think that they are under the impression that Prabhupada, well, just like he changed his mind about the direction of management and allowed unlimited gurus, GBC to come there, and then GBC is appointing gurus, they've had this all figured out that this is how Prabhupada changed his mind, not realizing that Prabhupada was dealing with scoundrels.
Yeah.
People that were not worthy. They were not worthy of initiation. So you can say, well, did Prabhupada make a mistake initiating them? And there's one point of view from the writings of Thakur Bhaktivinoda where that is precisely the case, that Prabhupada made mistakes in initiating them. Because Thakur Bhaktivinoda writes that a person, a qualified spiritual master who initiates someone who falls down or is grossly disobedient as a disciple, that he must go to his godbrothers and bow down in front of his godbrothers, weeping and beg for their forgiveness for having initiated an unworthy person. Well, Srila Prabhupada initiated hundreds and hundreds of people Prabhupada initiated left the movement. So Prabhupada would have spent his whole life offering obeisances to his godbrothers, begging for their forgiveness for having initiated such unworthy people in the first place. So we can see that there was another game being played that is not in the game of normal Vaishnavism. And the game that being played, we have already identified in the previous conversations that because of Gorkashore Das Babaji, the movement of the Brahminical Sampradaya, the Vaishnava Sampradaya, radically changed to become contrarian. In other words, instead of going with the instructions of Shastra and the restrictions of Brahminical life and the restrictions of spiritual life and initiation, all of those things were eliminated by Gorkashore Das Babaji. And the example of that was shown by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where he did so many, the strictest of the strict. If he hadn't taken an initiation from Gorkashore Das Babaji, he would not have, Bhaktisiddhanta would not have done so many really surprisingly egregious things that the residents of Vrindavan told them they were horrified by what he did. Like driving into Vrindavan in a limousine with a British chauffeur, when a sannyasi, according to Shastra, cannot walk. He has to come barefoot, not even with sandals, has to come barefoot into Vrindavan. So do you see the level of contrarian nature that was taking place? And that came from Gorkashore Das Babaji. And if you study his life, you'll see the word contrarian. He was contrarian on steroids. And that was for a simple purpose. Simply for Gorkashore Das Babaji's contrarian nature was for only one purpose. And that is so that Prabhupada could come and initiate malachas and make them into sannyasis and Brahmins.
Yeah.
But to what purpose? Go ahead. Okay,
Go ahead,
what purpose?
Yes.
Okay, to what purpose? And the purpose is so that the malachas and outcasts, persons below shoudra, and actually below malacha from the Vedic standard, the lowest of the low, would have the opportunity to take up Krishna consciousness. And that, we see, is not simply Prabhupada's quirk or the quirk of Gorkashore Das Babaji by itself. That quirk, if you will, is the direct example and order of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya bypassed the whole Vedic standard.
Yeah, so we have some hope.
So we're fortunate beyond imagination. So fortunate that I think we can suspect that in spite of our material births and our material consciousness that we're still clinging to in one way or another, that in spite of that, we have been placed here by Lord Chaitanya so that we would become disciples of Prabhupada. We should not think in terms of our own lifetime or our own parentage or on anything.
What do you mean, then not think about our own lifetime? That's all we have.
Well, that's all we have, unless we stand back at a distance,
right,
and look at our lifetime. How do you mean? That's all we have. If you do past life regressions, you'll see what you did in previous lives.
I don't need to do that. That's been revealed already. Slowly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are you going to say are you going to suggest that because we can't remember our previous lives that we didn't have any?
No, I was just fencing.
What were you doing?
Many births we have had.
Many, yes, but we do, and that's a quote from the Gita. And Krishna said, "I remember them all, but you do not."
Yes.
Of course, he was speaking to Arjuna in the context of not Bhagavad Gita. He was speaking to Arjuna in the context of the newfound role of Arjuna of not being his friend or spiritual equal or companion as he is in the Nara Narayana Rishi, where they're twins. You can't tell them apart. You can't tell which one is Vishnu and which one is Arjuna. Right?
Yeah, this is at this point, I don't think people realize, even the unnecessary gurus, they don't realize these things, which is very important.
This is what we have to generate. And that's why our League for 10K, 10,000 years of the golden age of Kali, why our league is it breaks the bonds. It breaks open the storehouse of love of God that Lord Chaitanya already broke open, but it's taking us out of the category of mortal men with mortal gurus that give us transcendental life, and when we die, we'll go to heaven. It takes us out of that category and puts us into the rare category of actually fulfilling Lord Chaitanya's personal desire in the mood of Radharani.
Right.
You might say, why did Lord Chaitanya want so much chanting? He wants people to chant to him? And the answer is, what is the answer? Did Lord Chaitanya want people chanting the Hare Krishna mantra because he wanted people to chant to him? Would you say? Why did Lord Chaitanya want everyone to chant?
Why did Lord Chaitanya want? Go ahead, Rupa. You can say something.
Mass deliverance.
But why?
So that
Because,
they could be liberated.
No. So Radharani can offer that through Krishna.
Now we're
Collect
getting
it and
there.
offer it.
Now we're getting there. Because that is what Radharani does in the spiritual sky.
Yes, he collects all the devotional service of the devotees and
brings
offers to Krishna.
it to Krishna's lotus feet.
Okay.
And so if he is going to be, the thing is where I've never thought before a few days ago, that Lord Chaitanya, we might as well consider Lord Chaitanya to be Radharani, because that's why he came here, was to experience being Radharani. Right?
Yes. I mean, that's
So
if
we stop saying, why did Lord Chaitanya want everyone to chant? Let's switch gears and ask ourselves, why did Radharani want everyone to chant? Doesn't it suddenly snap into focus?
Exactly.
Why would Lord Chaitanya or Krishna has no reason for us to chant, right?
Yeah, why
in the spiritual world he doesn't chant to himself. So why would he come here and then want to chant and have people chant his name? And the answer is he didn't. He came here to be her, to be Radharani, right? He came here to be Radharani. And if you say, why does Radharani want everyone to chant in every town and village? That's what she does in Krishna Loka. You see? ISKCON, Krishna consciousness, and all the Shastras. If you look at it from this point of view, everything suddenly changes into something that makes far more sense than going down through all the acharyas and what they said and who talked to them and all that. That's all good stuff. It's helpful. And if you become a self-realized soul, it is totally blissful because you get to understand Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan by hearing the conversation between Sanatana and Rupa Goswami. But we're not at that stage. In a sense, quite frankly, we're hardly at any stage. But if we chant, if we take up Radharani's request, meaning Lord Chaitanya as Radharani's request, we will automatically make all sorts of advancement in the golden age of Kali. And our dear godbrother Banu started this all out by saying he wanted to go back to God in this lifetime. And that's when I began to think, I said, well, what's the odds of anyone going back to God in this lifetime? And then it dawned on me, how can we think of going back to Godhead unless we chant? And what if it takes us 10,000 lifetimes in the golden age of Kali? You know, or 1,000 lifetimes. I guess 2,000 would take us outside of the golden age of Kali. But supposing it takes us that long length of time to become purified, well, what are we going to do? Sit around in a temple worshiping Vaisheshika's endless supply of reincarnations? Right? Are you there?
Yes.
Vaisheshika's reincarnations. That's a good one. Right. Yeah, that's.
So it's going to take us that long anyhow. Once you've heard the holy name of Krishna, once you've engaged in devotional service, once you become a Kanistha Adhikari, it really, quite honestly, doesn't matter a bit if Prabhupada told us the straight story on how long it would take to go back to Godhead. It doesn't matter. We'll go back to Godhead when we become pure devotees.
Right.
The process is there in the nectar of instruction, but nobody cares because they haven't all figured out how to become a Kanistha Adhikari and then go back to Godhead. Well, go ahead, think that. You know what I would say to them? The good news is you're right. You are going to go back to Godhead. The good news as a condition is that it may take some time. So it takes some time. My request, my plea to the League of 10,000K is, let's concentrate on the task and not obsess over trying to do something good for our present material body. Doesn't matter what body we're in, as long as we're chanting Hare Krishna. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
But making the Hare Krishna mantra available outside of our own little group. And it's almost like people are saying, well, you take an ISKCON guru, then you sit in a closeted space called a temple, and you chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds if you don't have something more important to do. And
Hare
that will go
Krishna,
on.
Prabhuji.
That will go on. And
Hare
then when
Krishna.
you die, you'll go back to Godhead. What?
Hardik,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Ask.
Prabhuji, which time is best for chanting?
I'm sorry?
Right now.
What about?
He said, what time is best for chanting? I said, right now.
The time that is best for chanting is when you're awake. And if you are fully chanting when you're awake, then the best time for chanting is then extended to when you're asleep. But what we're doing here, this conversation, is chanting. Because chanting or about chanting is the same. There's no difference between actual chanting or talking about chanting. Because we're saying, talking about chanting to increase this breadth and scope of chanting. So and that's what Prabhupada used to do also. He didn't spend the majority of every day just chanting. He was talking, explaining, giving people
Hare Krishna,
essentially
Prabhuji.
giving people the idea why they should chant and how they should chant. And that's what we should be doing right now.
Yes.
That's what the
Yes, Prabhuji, you
Istagosthi
have a
is
question?
for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
Uh-huh.
Between.
Please ask.
Yeah, just want to ask the question that if we chant the 16 rounds daily, so what will be our feelings? What will be I chant 16 rounds daily, but how these 16 rounds help us to go to the path of the Lord Krishna consciousness?
Well, chanting 16 rounds is one of the qualifications of being a Kanisa Adhikari. If you're in a temple, you have to chant 16 rounds. And that's a minimum. I mean, 64 rounds is a better standard. It takes 8 hours instead of 2 hours to complete. And Haridas Thakur chanted far more than 64 rounds. He chanted except for 2 hours of resting and eating. So what exactly do you apply your question to specifically? The point is, we don't chant for ourselves. We chant to deliver the fallen souls. And we don't take the view, well, I'll deliver myself first and then start delivering others later. I contend, and that was Prabhupada's contention as well, you deliver the fallen souls, you deliver the fallen souls as you make advancement. But without delivering them and trying to deliver only yourself, you won't get very far.
Prabhuji?
People may praise you and tell you you're a very nice devotee and that you're advanced. But in terms of actually going back to Godhead, you only get credit for who hears you chant, not that you chant.
Prabhuji, can we chant one round with with the U, please.
I'm sorry.
Prabhuji, can you chant one round, please? It's my request to you.
You need to chant 16 rounds to be in ISKCON or to be a Kanistha Adhikari. A Kanistha Adhikari is a conditioned soul who is in the process of gradual purification. So that's where we are. We are conditioned souls in the process of being purified, which is wonderful considering the alternative if we had not become devotees. Our lives would have been totally cursed. Not because anyone cursed us, but simply because of our own desires and actions to fulfill those desires. Even when we were thinking we were doing good. Because outside of Dharma, there's nothing good about doing good while in the material body. You know, there's nothing good that we can do. Why? Because everything we do while we're in bodily consciousness is to feed the body, clothe the body, clean the body, marry the body to somebody else, a female, male, as the case may be. Raise little bodies called children. All of that has nothing to do with our direct spiritual life. It does have to do with something called Dharma, which means that if you do all these things in connection with your wife and family, your whole group will make spiritual advancement together. It's like your home becomes one big temple, one big mandir. And if everyone is following the regulated principles, reading Prabhupada's books, then there's no limit to how much advancement you can make following the Dharma of family life. But the Dharma of family life will not get you back to Godhead. It will just keep you from sinking down into a lower form in your next birth. So if you want to make advancement back to Godhead, there's only one way. Harinam, 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 Evakam. Kaluvana Stevana, Stevana, Steva Katyura. So Radharani said that through the mouth of Lord Chaitanya. And that is her mood in the spiritual sky. In Krishna Loka, Radharani's mood is for everyone to chant. So why would she be different when she comes as Lord Chaitanya? Why would she change her point of view here? Well, far from changing her point of view, she made it a more exciting prospect. Because in Krishna Loka, everyone is already pure devotees chanting like anything. Or when they speak, it's chanting. Everything in Krishna Loka is transcendental. And in planet Earth, nothing is transcendental. Nothing, not a single thing is transcendental. So here on planet Earth,
So I'd like to share some things from Dandavat.com in regarding to what we're doing. So this person is agreeing to.
That's a good idea, but did his question get answered?
I think it did get answered. Maybe he can.
I was answering the question. I was just wondering if you accepted the answer. But I agree. We should get into the next wing of it.
We
Yeah,
have
okay.
we have 4 minutes left.
Okay,
Oh, we're
Rupa
gonna
Manjari
need a
Prabhu.
We're going to need
You
a
can
few
finish
more
this
than
off, Rupa Manjari Prabhu. This is an article here written by one devotee named, who is this guy? Is devotee Krishna Dharma Das. You see here on the screen? This is from dandavats.com, and he titled it "The Role of the Second Class Guru." So we're not going to read the whole thing, but we're just going to read part of it where he says something very important and that we have been saying for many months now. Where is it? It's saying here. So I'm highlighting it here. So he's saying, Rupa, can you read or should I read? Rupa?
Yeah, I can read.
Right here. Yeah.
I believe this should be our culture. Establish Srila Prabhupada as our principal teacher by instigating regularly Istagosthi discussion sessions around his books. Those accepting the role of guru can act as tutors in this regard, joining such discussions and assisting their disciples to go more deeply into the books. This means that such gurus cannot have vast numbers of disciples, maybe only a handful, but this is in keeping with the instructions of Lord Chaitanya that Srila Prabhupada explains above in Easy Journey. The relevant verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita is Madhya Lila 22:118. If you are a second-class guru, then you should not accept a lot of disciples. Even if unable to sit with their disciples, at least the gurus should ensure that the disciples are regularly discussing Srila Prabhupada's books. When they have doubts or questions that they cannot answer through such discussions, then they can discuss these directly with their gurus, who can help clear their doubts and strengthen their faith. But everything should be centered around Srila Prabhupada's books. This is where our instructions should come from.
So this was something that this person posted, and at one side he's saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada instructed everyone to be a guru, I guess, general order to preach. So they're taking it to be a Diksha, liberated soul guru, and in this regard, he's saying that a second class person can be a guru, or have Istagosthi.
Anyone can be a guru if he simply delivers the holy name. But that doesn't make him an Uddhamadakari.
Yes.
If a person is eating a hamburger tells me to chant Hare Krishna, and I've never heard it before, then he is, in that sense, he's my guru. Because he's given me the transcendental knowledge, which I had no other way of getting.
Yes, he was eating his hamburger and telling you to chant, all right?
Yeah, we have to understand that.
Okay, we have 1 minute left.
1 minute left. Try.
Can't we extend it for 10 more minutes? Because I started the Zoom call out in the street. But aren't there any other people that wanted to say things?
Well, we're inviting the whole world to participate, but only a select few are participating. So it is nice
participating in the dialogue, but they may be participating by hearing.
Yes, there's a lot of people watching our videos. He said, what is Nara Narayana Prabhu's views on ISKM? Does he support them?
What's that? What is ISKCON?
It is another institution, established by Sundar Gopal Prabhu, and
Yeah.
he is asking, does he support them? So
Well, what do they do?
they are preaching that Prabhupada is the Siksha and Diksha Guru. I think that's what they're saying. Or Sundar Gopal is acting as a rhythmic representative of Srila Prabhupada and getting them to chant Hare Krishna. I think they follow the final order book. And what they do is they only read from Srila Prabhupada's original books. And they are saying that the unnecessary gurus complicate people's lives to a large degree by confusing them and giving them insufficient guidance. So these are some of their views.
Well, I can
ISKM.
agree with 95% of everything he says. I don't put that emphasis on the final order because I consider that the final order was a way Prabhupada took it. ISKCON that had already been subverted by unelected GBCs and by people in charge of programs who were not accountable to anyone, and he forced them to become bogus gurus, or I mean unnecessary gurus, by declaring them rhythmics, and then they knew very well they were going to abandon that idea. And so Prabhupada wanted that because it kept the movement together. But that was then, this is now. It was decades ago.
Yes.
Now we can stop licking our wounds and work to establish Prabhupada's intent. And Prabhupada's intent is not about who's going to be a guru, for the very simple reason, what would a guru do that Prabhupada has not already done? That's my biggest question. What would a guru do that Prabhupada has not done? Would he tell people to chant Hare Krishna?
Well, Prabhupada is saying that in every letter of his. You should chant Hare Krishna. You should follow the regulator principles. You should distribute the books. You should eat prasadam. You should do this, do that. And that is already being said by Prabhupada billions of times, trillions of times.
The platform, the bed that you make to sleep in when it's nighttime and you're tired is called Kanista Adhikari ISKCON. But we're trying to look beyond that to the chanting part. And instead of looking at Prabhupada as being a Boy Scout leader who got a bunch of unruly kids in line for a while, and then they broke loose, I don't look at it that way. We should see what is Prabhupada's instruction what to do. And, there's the direction of management, which people don't bother with. Even rhythmics don't bother with it. So direction of management, if you want to manage Kanista Adhikari ISKCON, you must have the direction of management. But in terms of the higher purpose, we want everyone to recognize that Prabhupada's only message was the same message of Radharani in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Chant and engage everyone in chanting. That's what she does in spiritual world. Krishna doesn't do that in Krishna Loka. Radharani does. Krishna doesn't tell people to chant his name. Radharani tells people to chant his name. Not that they need much goading, but she manages it. And so now she wants to manage us chanting Krishna's holy name. Our highest great fortune will be to allow ourselves to do that. Okay?
Okay. Jai. We got a question by Hardik Prabhu. Can you ask that question? It's I'm having a hard time understanding your question. Maybe I'll read it. Narayan Prabhu, you ready for it?
I'm ready for it to be put back on the video.
Okay. Well, one second. Let me do that. Right. Ask to start video. There you go. You can start now. Okay, you're back. All right. Okay, so the question Hardik Prabhu is asking, according to this statement, Srila Prabhupada tells that the souls which are expanded through the material energy of the Supreme are conditioned souls. As we knowing As we know, getting conditioned means thinking ourselves the enjoyer and controller of because of which we are suffering. So according to that, the jivas are suffering because they were expanded by material energy. So then why is it told that jiva suffers in this material world because of its ego? Then how is a jiva is blamed for his suffering because any jiva expands materially will be conditioned. Once it is conditioned, all the material qualities will be present automatically.
Well, that's not exactly the situation. The jivas are not expanded and therefore conditioned. The jivas can be kanista, jivas can be uttama adhikaris, or they can become fallen souls, either one. In either case, they're guided by Paramatma as long as they are in the jiva condition. But anyone in the material world is in the material world because of his own desire, not because of being placed anywhere. No one is forced to be who you are or who I am. That is a matter of choice, which is evolved over birth after birth after birth, right? So if we go out so many births, who's in charge of those births? Not the expansion of the jivas as a whole, not Krishna. We are responsible because we choose. The thing to really remember, and what people have a hard time because they like to merge spiritual life into one ocean of spirituality instead of the fact, which is just totally opposite of that, which is we spiritual life is our individual spiritual existence as parama, as jivas, simultaneously one and different with Krishna. That is the Kanistadagari platform definition. Brahman, simultaneously one and different than Krishna. So there's no question of any expansion that forces us to do anything or tempts us to do anything. We're tempted by our own lust, and that lust is our desire to serve Krishna in the spiritual world turned on its head, where we want people to serve us. And that's true invariably, even of saintly people. Anyone who identifies with his body wants to be worshipped for in one way or another, or honored or respected, or he wants to respect and honor others. Those are bodies. Bodies honoring me honoring bodies. What's the difference? If my lens is my body, if my lens is my body, then it is me who calls the shots, not circumstance. There's no situation where we are victims of anyone. We can make ourselves victims in the material world. One man is the master whipping the slave, the other man is the slave being whipped. That is relationships that are chosen by the participants. The karma of the slave is to take birth as a slave, and he may not want to be whipped, but that's all he can expect because he desired to do whatever it took to make him a slave in the next life. And the master thinks nothing of beating the slave because that's his karma too.
So can we say that the ISKCON devotees who are practicing chanting Hare Krishna, that is their karma to get a unnecessary guru? I mean,
no, not at all their karma. It's their choice.
It's their choice. Okay, I see.
Yes, their choice. Yeah. They could choose to be a tough customer, or they could choose to be an easy customer. The guru, the unnecessary gurus want you to be an easy customer. Oh, come on, you'll enjoy it. We'll have fun together. There's prasadam, there's the deities, they're all nice looking, etc. And the person says, okay, I'll sacrifice my better judgment and become a member. But another person can be very strict and say, I would love to be a member, but there are things I don't yet understand. What is this? What is that? What is the difference between Kanyasamani and Muttamadakari? That I must know before I become a member. Oh, don't trouble your head with that stuff. That'll come later. No, I want it to come before I join. I'm not going to join any group of people where I don't know who I am in that group. And I don't want to join a group. I want to be an individual studying in the association of other individuals in a group. But I don't want to be a member of the group. I want to be an individual meeting and dealing with other individuals. That's Shastra. That's what Prabhupada asked us to do.
That's
So
what we're
if
doing
we-
here in Istagosthi.
Yes. It is Prabhupada who's doing this, not me, not you.
Yes.
Or we could say empowered by Prabhupada, we're doing it, but it doesn't matter because it's being done according to what Prabhupada wants. And we don't know perfectly, but we're gradually getting to the point of understanding what he wanted when he came here, how he wanted this to go on, and why he wanted us to chant in the mood of Radharani, considering that it is Radharani who introduced the chanting through Lord Chaitanya.
Okay, it's time to finish.
Was there any further points that people made, or it would be nice to honor them briefly if we can, but those were great things that people asked.
Jai, so Hardik Prabhu, you have any last minute questions? Our next meeting will be tomorrow, so you can join tomorrow also. We're broadcasting from Sacramento. Nara Narayana Prabhu is in Los Angeles. Mahaprabhu is also in Los Angeles. Hare Krishna, Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, the gentleman who joined us, was this very strange for you to hear? But if you think it's strange, then please formulate your questions and ask them directly. And all of us on this platform are qualified to answer your questions. And we would like to do that so that you will not be simply thinking these people have an opinion. We want to show Siddhanta or actual spiritual conclusions.
Jai, Hardik Prabhu, please say something before we cut out. Did you like
Jai.
the meeting? Did you do you have more questions, or are you going to be back? Or
No, Prabhu, I don't have more question.
okay, how old
Were
are
you
you?
satisfied with, did you like what you heard? Is he still there?
He's still here, but I guess he's shy.
Oh. Well, if you didn't like what you were there, you're perfectly free to say, I did not like what I heard. This is Istagosthi.
Yes.
You can say things like that. I thought it was a bunch of crap. I didn't like it at all. You can say that. Go ahead and say it if that's what you feel. You don't have to be polite any more than you want to be. But the main thing is, if you have a choice between polite and getting to the point, we all recommend get to the point, forget polite. So what did he say?
Jai.
Is he going to say anything?
I don't think he's going to say anything, but the boss has left, so we can continue our meeting.
The boss? I thought you were the boss.
she took my position.
She's trying to.
So we just ignore her. So anyways, I think it's coming to an end anyways, because there's no more questions.
Yeah.
And we've been we'd like to invite anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube. Please come participate, ask your questions about anything you like, express your doubts. If you don't like us, we're also very happy to take you on video and say, okay, you guys are doing something crazy which I don't approve.
Yeah. So if it's crazy, then let's discuss it until we come to an agreement.
Yes.
We're not attached to a single idea that we're discussing. We are dealing with what we hope to be the supreme absolute truth, and that's all we're doing. You can come in with whatever idea you have, and it's not that you have to agree with us. You don't. In fact, it would be ridiculous and actually horrible if you did. You come in with whatever idea you have, but be willing to discuss it openly not simply say, I agree, go to hell, or something like that. I disagree, go to hell. No, say, I disagree, and this is why, and go through that. Now,
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
now, I would like to mention one thing. Mahaprabhu keeps saying he wishes that we had quotes from Prabhupada or something from Prabhupada
Videos.
in our
He
meeting.
wanted,
Yes, yes.
You want to see some videos of Srila Prabhupada. So
5
Okay,
minutes.
well, that's possible, but I would like to say that the Istagosthi is not for that purpose. The Istagosthi is you see the video on your own, then you bring the conclusion to the Istagosthi and discuss it. It's about you, not about hearing from Prabhupada. That you can always do. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of Prabhupada speaking. You can listen whatever you like to Prabhupada. But then whatever you hear that you want to know about, or you want to express what you think about, what you feel is the truth, bring it. But we
Excellent.
don't just play things of Prabhupada on this site. We can do it on other sites, but not this one.
Very good.
This is for you, not simply to be a student, but to be a equal.
Understood. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, on this platform, we're all equals. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good
Hare
night.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Good
Hare
night,
Krishna.
good
We'll
night,
end it
good night,
here,
good night,
Prabhu.
good night, good night, good night, good night.
Good night.